Welcome back, friends. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to Reconnect, a 21-day journey back to yourself through the inner child. If you are someone who's been feeling disconnected with yourself on any level, if you've been struggling to experience joy, fulfillment, have a good time, have some fun, really feel that you are moving through life in a purposeful way, then this is going to be a beautiful, beautiful journey for you. And today I'm going to be talking about where this incredible offering came from, also discussing with you what it is, and inviting you because truthfully, I believe that anyone and everyone can benefit from this work. Now, I know not everyone's going to feel called to it, but I truly believe that this work can shift anyone's life. And in 21 days, you can step out of this incredible journey and be a completely different version of yourself, likely one who will continue this work in one way or another. But suffice it to say, when we step into doing work with our inner child, this isn't necessarily like just about healing ourselves or reconnecting to a younger version of ourselves. This is truly about reconnecting to who we are, because the inner child is our subconscious. And the subconscious is that voice that hangs out in the background, the one that guides us into, the patterns that we experience, the jobs that we take, the relationships that we find ourselves in. It's a really crucial part of us. And I can tell you that when you begin working with this aspect of yourself, things shift in a huge way. And I can tell you this, my work with my inner child has really led me to believe that this is the number one way to start falling in love with yourself all over again, to find that compassionate voice, to rediscover your innocence because it's there. It's always been there. It's just all the wounds and conditioning and everything that is kind of piled on us from the very earliest of days in our life disconnects us from ourselves. And of course, we've all experienced what it is to be connected with ourselves at certain times. Perhaps it was in the middle of, an experience with someone else. Perhaps it's in finding or doing something that you really love, maybe a hobby, maybe a job. Like there's so many ways, but like learning how to stay connected to yourself, learning how to really understand yourself is a life-changing event. And guess what? It's simple. It's really, really simple. You don't need fancy tools. You don't need all the gizmos and gadgets. All you really need is dedicated time. And that's one of the reasons why I created this to be a 21-day journey, so that you would start getting in the habit of showing up for yourself every day for at least 5 to 10 minutes. But know that this journey was created with your busy, active schedule in mind, because guess what? I have the same. I've got a lot to do as well. And the work that I've been doing hasn't been any more than 5 or 10 minutes a day. That's what's so incredible about it. So again, today we're going to go over kind of where this came from, a little bit of the background, and then I'm going to share with you more about this incredible journey. And I would love, love, love to have you join. So first and foremost, the background. I started working with my inner child in 2020 with my psychotherapist. I grew up in a very hostile, fast-paced environment. I'm the eldest daughter. I was responsible for the maintenance of much of the things in our home, the peace, and certainly taking care of my siblings. My childhood, quite frankly, it was I had some really beautiful moments because my parents simply weren't around. And so there was a certain amount of freedom that I got to experience. But because I had so much responsibility, and quite frankly, I loved that responsibility because, when I showed up and was responsible and took care of my siblings, then I felt like I earned the love that I got from my parents. And so I learned that love is earned. And I learned that, that love comes through the responsibility of others, oftentimes at the expense of myself. And I know that I'm far from alone in this, in one way or another. My mentorship clients that I work with in like weekly containers, the majority of everyone who comes to me has experienced something similar and really struggles with prioritizing themselves, being kind to themselves, taking care of themselves in a way that they take care of everyone else. And I'm sure that you understand what I'm talking about. It's always been easier to be kind to the friend whose life is falling apart, even if they are making terrible decisions, than it is oftentimes for us to be kind to ourselves in the same sort of circumstances. And working with your inner child enables you to have enough objectivity that you start recognizing these parts of yourself and giving them grace and compassion, just like you would someone else. So when I began working with my psychotherapist, and we worked for over a year, I really learned to start healing some of these wounds, and it made a very big impact on my life, which led me into doing numerous workshops with internal family systems, which is an incredible form of therapy that really recognizes the inner child and these other parts of ourselves. And I have incorporated a lot of that work into my mentorship containers. However, I have to tell you that, this isn't a practice that I have maintained in regards to staying connected to my inner child. I spend a lot of my time in the Akashic Records. I spend a lot of my time, journaling or meditating. I mean, the truth is, like, we don't have time for all of the different things that we could be doing every single day. But somewhere along the way, I got really disconnected from my inner child. And something that has really been coming up for me over the past 6 to 12 months of my life is this recognition of, once again, how addicted I am to my work, to achievement, to feeling worth and value in regards to how much money I'm making and how many people I'm bringing into my space, and just getting disconnected from the values that are ultimately in my heart and that are really rooted in the work that I do. It became more of a business than a purpose. And it was just like, wait, what is happening? Also, at the expense of my personal life. So, whether that is my personal relationships or the way that I was caring for myself, and things just have been getting out of whack. Now, mind you, my life has been going through a lot of changes. I've moved like 10 times since the end of 2022. There's been so much upheaval that it's been difficult for me to get grounded and centered. But point being, I was really led to begin talking to my inner child again about 2 months ago. And this wasn't any sort of like it was just kind of coming in from every different direction. It came up in a session with my therapist. My guides brought it up a couple of times. They had been bringing it up for a while, if I'm honest. And I wasn't like connecting with it. I wasn't hearing them the way I needed to be. But it started popping up so much. It was like, okay, so I'm just going to start sitting down and I'm just going to start like showing up for my inner child again and talking to her. What has been taking place has absolutely blown my mind, because I didn't show up with any kind of intention to heal anything, to overcome anything, to see anything from a different perspective, to like even like to find joy in my life or anything like that. It was just like, okay, this part of me is calling out and needs me and wants me. And so I need to go back in and I need to start just talking to her. And when I showed up for her again the first time, I saw her. She was in this dark corner of a house all by herself with a teddy bear, which is really wild because I honestly never liked stuffed animals. I like the idea of them, but I would get them and then just discard them because I just had no use for them really. But my inner self, like my inner child, when I saw her and I was like, oh, you have a teddy bear. She's like, this is all I have. And it just kind of broke me open again, because it was like, once again, I had really disconnected from this aspect of myself. And let me tell you something, no matter how much work that you do on yourself, no matter how much you show up every single day, there are always going to be blind spots. There are always going to be places that, like you short step, and that's okay. Even as a spiritual guide, even as someone who is very connected with myself, this was a blind spot. And I had, like I knew, but I was like focusing on other things because I was making them more of a priority. All that I have really been doing in this space is intentionally showing up and hanging out with my inner child and doing a number of different things with her. And of course, it's always so wild because when I start doing work, then it starts showing up in my clients' lives and being relevant for them. And and not just my clients, but like my friends, my family, like the people in my space. And so, of course, eventually my guides were like, hey, you're going to create a journey around this for your community. And it's time to lead people through this because ultimately, this is about reconnecting with who you are. And right now, we need this more than anything. And what I can tell you is the benefits have just, again, blown my mind because I didn't have any sort of intention. I wasn't looking for anything. This process that my guides have been taking me through is so simple and yet so powerful. Again, you don't need all the bells and whistles. You don't need all of the things. You simply need to show up for yourself every day. And the beauty of joining Reconnect is I'm going to tell you what to do. I'm going to guide you through the whole process. And not only that, but you're going to have a community to lean on and to do this with. And so you'll get to share. And I want to be really direct. This is not about healing your trauma and those sorts of things. Not that those things may not come up, but this is ultimately a journey of discovery, a journey of reconnection. And the simplicity of this journey is what makes it so powerful. So if you are someone who decides, like, I feel called to this, I want to join, then I want you to leave everything behind that you know about the inner child and working with the inner child and come to this completely open-minded and just allow me and your inner child to guide you through. But some of the ways that this has benefited me is I'm actually looking younger. I feel younger. My partner even has made multiple comments about, like, oh my gosh, Anna, it's like the lights are back on in your eyes. You look so much younger all of a sudden. You're so much happier. You're more easygoing. You don't get as stressed out as much. Like, life just isn't as heavy. My therapist has also said the same thing, but neither one of them being prompted to do so, by the way. They just like brought it up. It's given me so much clarity around my career and what I enjoy doing with my time. I've like stepped back into activities I haven't done since I was a kid. And quite frankly, I hadn't even thought about really, really simple ones like laying out in the sun for like an hour every weekend. Not a big deal. But I have to tell you, when I was a teen, I loved laying out in the sun. Like, I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it because majority of the time it was something I got to go do by myself. So I could be away from my family. I could get space on my own. I could get lost in my book. My skin would get nice and dark because I'm Spanish and, like it brings out who I really feel inside. I loved the feel of the sun in my skin. Like, again, such a simple thing. You have no idea how much it has been enriching me and bringing joy into my life. The inner dialogue in my head has been changing. It's so wild. I had like a weekend of debauchery with my partner a couple of weekends ago. And typically, after doing something like that, because that's not me at all, I feel shame and I feel weird and I beat myself up and I'm like, oh my gosh, how could you let this happen? Not once did I even think of a negative thing to say to myself. In fact, I remember the morning after I woke up and I was like, you know, I usually beat myself up and I have nothing to beat myself up over. I had a great time and that's good. I need to have a good time. Like, I actually kind of like celebrated the fact that I let go and I just like, yeah, I had some wine and I ate some sugar and I did some things. You know what I mean? Again, it sounds like simple, but like for me, this is a big deal because in the past, I would beat myself up so much. It may sound ridiculous to you, but this is just my experience. It truly has brought more joy into my everyday. It's brought back my ability to kind of let go and have fun. And also, just side note, really has benefited my sex life, which I think is important to say. And I'm not sharing these things with you to say this is how it's going to affect you, because that's not the point of this. Each and every person who is drawn to reconnect is going to experience their own benefits, their own changes, their own transformations. And I'm not here to tell you what that's going to be for you because I don't want to limit your journey in any way, because this truly is a journey of unfolding. Okay. So that's a bit about background in regards to where this came about and certainly some benefits for you. Now I want to talk to you about the journey itself. So, first and foremost, as I mentioned before, I know you're busy. I know you got a lot going on. And this journey was created with that in mind. It is to respect your schedule. And yet at the same time, to require you to set aside 5 to 10 minutes a day for yourself, which I believe every single person can do. Okay. Also, the reason that it's 21 days in a row is to get you in the habit of showing up for yourself every day and to get you like fully immersed in this process so that you can really become inundated in it in a very short period of time and begin to see in probably pretty huge ways how it is shifting your life. And then so you can continue doing this work afterwards in whatever way feels best for you. Okay. So that's on the front end. All right. Let me like scroll down here. I've got so many different notes. So, as I mentioned, what we're going to be doing like through this journey, again, it's 21 days. We're kicking off on July 18th, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It'll be on a live, it'll be a Zoom. We'll be coming together and I will be walking you through how to connect with your inner child. You'll be able to share your experiences. I want to make sure that you feel comfortable and confident connecting with your inner child. It's very simple. Anyone can do this. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what your background is, what your intuitive gifts are. I promise you, it is very, very simple. However, we're going to do this live. That way, if you have questions, you can ask them right there. Okay. And the process that I'm going to be taking you through is honestly like it's an Akashic process. So we'll be calling in guides and we'll be removing fear and we'll be removing things that maybe energetically want to prevent you from connecting with this part of yourself. Because I can tell you that learning how to work with your inner child, i.e., your subconscious, is such powerful work that oftentimes we can get in our own way with our fear, with feelings of unworthiness, or just not knowing what's going to happen. And so we're going to kind of remove all of that on the front end for you and really dive in. And then the very next day, I mean, like it's kicking off for 21 days. All right. So every day, every other day, you will have an activity, a specific thing to do in connecting with your inner child. And then on the other day, it's a reflection day. And you'll be alternating back and forth between reconnect and reflection days. The reflection days are going to include activities to help you reflect on what your experiences were with your inner child the day before. So it might be something like journaling or talking to yourself in the mirror or recording a video of yourself, something of that nature where you really have to kind of connect with and reflect on what your experiences are, just so that you can take it that much deeper for yourself. Okay. And as we kind of move through this course, keep calling it a course, it's a journey. It's definitely not a course. It's really like a discovery. It's an uncovering. It's going to be so incredible. We're going to be working through different themes each week because this is 21 days. So that is 3 weeks. So the first week, we're focusing on remembering. All right. And in that, you're going to really be reconnecting with your inner child and building safety and trust with your inner child. I call this stage the I found you, like, hi, good to see you again. If you have never connected with your inner child, or it's been a really long time, then like me, more than likely, you're going to find your child like, feeling lonely and angry and depressed and these sorts of things. And we don't want to show up for our inner child and just demand that they hang out with us and be with us and do things with us or whatever the case may be. We want to be with them in their space because we need to re-establish that trust and that connection to them. So that's going to be our first week. And this is honestly like some of the most beautiful work because you get this opportunity to speak into these aspects of yourself and to really show yourself love and see yourself in a very different perspective. And it is beautiful and can be emotional and can be so many different things. And know that throughout this course, we are going to have a private community on Telegram where I will be encouraging attendees to come and share your experiences, ask your questions, whatever the case may be. I will be going through this course with you oh my gosh, this journey with you every step of the way. And so I also will be sharing and looking forward to hearing everyone else's experiences. The second week is the rebuild week. And this is where we kind of start doing a bit more work. This is where we kind of really start building that relationship. And I call this the I'm listening stage. Okay. And so this is where we will be engaging our inner child in a much more purposeful way, getting to know them, asking them to do things with us, like really just building that relationship, right? And kind of bringing things together between you and your inner child. And then the third week is called reconnect. And this is about building partnership with you and your inner child and really taking that relationship to a whole nother level. And I call this stage the I'm choosing you stage, because this is really where you start to, like understand that not only is it important for your inner child, this aspect of you to know that you are there to be there for them, that you love them and you want to care for them and keep them safe, but also that you need them to help you improve your life and bring joy into your everyday, that this is truly about a partnership, that you need each other in life. Because again, this is about reconnecting. And reconnecting is not like a one-on-one, situation. Every relationship includes two. And this is you and your inner child, you and your subconscious, you and the stories that are running behind your head, the patterns that you've lived, the conditioning that the things that you've told yourself, like all of those different things. Okay. And this is really what the journey is about. It's about truly being able to understand, recognize, enjoy, and appreciate this aspect of yourself and to see what can happen when you reconnect with yourself and how life can shift and change for you, which I shared with you some of the benefits that I have experienced. And again, I don't want to say like, this is what's going to definitely happen for you, right? This is because that would be limiting to your experience. And the ways in which this is going to show up for you is going to vary. But I know without a shadow of a doubt that it is going to shift you in such a massive way. And such a big, beautiful part of doing this is that you'll be doing it in community with others, sharing your experiences, perhaps some beautiful things, perhaps some very sad things, right? And of course, I'll be holding this space. And then we'll be coming together at the very end of this journey as well for our second live, where I will be taking you through a process that has yet to be defined because my guides are like, no, wait. This is really going to be built upon built around the group that comes into this space for this journey. And so we're just going to see what the guides bring forward for us. But I guarantee it's going to be incredible and beautiful and just really seal in the work that we've done, in addition to providing you a way to continue doing this work. So when it comes to considering whether or not reconnect is for you, understand that if you've been feeling like you're disconnected from yourself, that life is heavier than you want it to, you put everyone else first, you're unkind to yourself in your mind, you beat yourself up, you shame yourself. If you want more joy and fun and play and presence in your life, then this is a beautiful way to kick things off and to start navigating yourself in that direction. Once again, this is a 21-day journey. And while I encourage you to be able to show up and commit to doing this for 21 days, this is obviously something that you can do at your own pace. And there will be open enrollment through the start date. So if you start with us a couple of days late, that is okay. I would still love to have you because this is work you can do and that you can return to doing at any point in time. So this is what I have for you today, friends. I want to send you so much love, and I really, really hope to see you and reconnect. Reach out to me if you have any questions or if you need any assistance. The payment is one payment, but if you need it broken down, then I'm happy to do that for you. Just let me know and we can make it work, because I truly believe that Everyone should be joining this course who feels disconnected from yourself. This is not the time on the planet to be moving through life feeling as if you don't know who you are, feeling as if you aren't at home in your body and with yourself, feeling as if you can't trust what is moving through you. So I encourage you to come check out Reconnect and join us there. Sending you so much love. Thanks for tuning in today. Don't forget, when you invest in yourself, the world benefits. Until next time.